Good morning, Emmanuel Baptist, and those watching the devotions. Good to be with you on this Monday morning, Monday after Easter, and I'm glad he's still alive and he's still on the throne this morning. It's good to have you. I want to jump right in. The other day I was reading, it may have even been yesterday, in Psalm 55, where David is talking about a burden and trouble that he has. And he said in Psalm 55 verse 4, "My heart is sore pained within me, and the terrors of death are fallen upon me. Fearfulness and trembling are come unto me. Horror hath overwhelmed me. And I said, oh, that I had wings like a dove, for then would I fly away and be at rest." In other words, he said, the trouble's so great, the burden's so great, if I could just escape and get away, I would. But he knew that would do him no good, because he said, "Lo, then would I wander far off and remain in the wilderness." Wilderness is always a type of out of the will of God and in trouble and not where God wants you. He said, I know that I would be in the wilderness, but even though I know that, there's still a part of me that just wants to get out from under the burden and the heaviness and the fearfulness and the trembling and the overwhelming sense of trouble. He said in verse 8, "I would hasten my escape from the windy storm and tempest." He said, I just want out of this storm. What do you do when you're facing storms and troubles and trials, and you feel like they're going to swallow you up and you're going to drown and you're not going to be able to make it another minute? Well, he has the answer for that. He said, there's 4 things that I see in his answer. He said, first of all, in verse number 16, "As for me, I will call upon God." First of all, God says, here's how you deal with that. You don't run, you don't escape, you call. You call on him. Can I tell you, he cares more than you and I could ever imagine. And David said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to immediately call on God. Why? Because I know he can help me. Not only did he say he was going to call, but going right along with that, in that call, verse 17, "Evening, morning, and at noon will I pray and cry aloud." God said, cry, and he shall hear my voice. You know, sometimes we can't do nothing but cry. And sometimes the best thing we can do with God is just get honest about where we're at, what we're facing. Let him see our tears. Let him see our torment. Let him see our fear. We don't have to be strong for him. He don't need our strength. He needs our honesty, and he needs our clarity. And he needs us to realize that when we're weak, then he can be made strong. So we need to call on him, and we need to cry to him. But then in verse 22, he said, "Cast thy burden upon the Lord." You know, when you cast something, it means that you throw it completely out of your hands. You completely let go of it, and you're putting it on something else. You know, the Lord said, casting all our care upon him, for he careth for us. Jesus said that he would in no wise cast us out if we come to him. I tell you, we can either carry it or we can cast it. And if we're hanging on to it, it's not because he wants us to. But then not only do I see that we're to call, we're to cry, we're to cast, but we're to have a confidence. Look what he said back in verse 16. "As for me, I'll call upon God, the Lord shall save me." In verse 17, he said, "I'm going to cry aloud, he shall hear my voice." Verse 18, "He hath delivered my soul." Verse 19, "God shall hear." Verse 22, "Cast thy burden on the Lord, he shall sustain thee." For 23, "I will trust in thee." If we're having problems and struggles, the best thing we can do is put our confidence in him. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow morning, Lord willing.